What is going on, people? Joey Talks Boxing. I got my winter wear on because it's winter over here. But wanted to talk about what Teddy Atlas said about Mike Tyson. Obviously, he's always asked about Mike Tyson. That's what he's most known for, the fact that he trained young Mike Tyson. He's been very critical of Mike Tyson. Some people say he's a hater. Some people say he's biased. I think Teddy Atlas just gives his honest opinion. You could say his honest opinion is swayed by the fact that he has a relationship with Mike and Mike did him wrong. But I think most of what Teddy Atlas says about Mike Tyson is true. I mean, he was a great fighter, great talent, but, you know, he did have some mental weakness. Like, he did kind of quit versus Holyfield. He was a bit of a front runner. I think that's valid. And he recently said that George Foreman was greater than Mike Tyson. I agree with that. I think if you're making a list of the greatest heavyweights of all time, you got to put George Foreman ahead of Mike Tyson. And I don't think that's like a controversial take. I think most people who are hardcore boxing fans and most respected lists would put George Foreman ahead of Mike Tyson. You know, every list that I've seen from Ring Magazine, ESPN, any list of best heavyweights, greatest heavyweights, I should say, usually George Foreman's on the list ahead. I've actually never seen Mike Tyson ahead. So I agree with him. I think that George was similar to Mike in that he came to the scene, dominated, was knocking guys out, killing them, you know, not literally, but dominating them. But the difference is the guys that George Foreman was knocking out were guys like Joe Frazier, one of the best heavyweights of all time, dominated him in 2 rounds. A guy like Ken Norton, who beat Ali, dominated him. Mike Tyson, he didn't beat the same level of opposition during his run. Then George loses to Ali. Mike loses to Buster Douglas. You know, obviously losing to Ali is more explainable than losing to Buster Douglas. Now, Foreman lost again to Jimmy Young. So you could say that was similar to Mike losing to Buster Douglas. But Buster Douglas stopped Mike. Jimmy Young, it was just a decision versus Foreman. So it's a little different. George Foreman goes 10 years out of the game, comes back, loses to Holyfield. You know, first he wins some fights, then he loses to Holyfield, loses to Morrison. Sorry, I'm effed up, baby. Come on, man. This weather out here, it's got us all cold. And then he fights Michael Moore, who was the heavyweight champion, beat Holyfield. You know, even though I kind of thought that fight was, you know, a draw, him versus Holyfield, he didn't do enough to win it, but he won it, and he was the official champion, lineal heavyweight champion, and George Foreman knocked him out. You know, and I don't want to hear about lucky punch. Like, George Foreman was hurting him throughout the fight, little by little by little by little, and then he caught Moore. He set him up. It wasn't the way they depicted in the movie. So, for me, yeah, you know, I know Mike came back, won the title versus Frank Bruno, a guy he already beat Bruce Seldon. He had some other decent wins, but I would take those 3 wins, the knockouts over Joe Frazier, Ken Norton, and Michael Moore. And really the first knockout of Frazier, because the last knockout of Frazier, the second one, he was already, like, Frazier was shot. That was after the 3rd Ali fight. I don't really care about that one. I don't count that. I would take those 3 wins. Joe Frazier, knockout. Ken Norton, knockout. Michael Moore, knockout. Over every Mike Tyson win. I would. You know, it's actually interesting because Mike's the youngest heavyweight champion of all time. George Foreman is the oldest. So it's a good comparison. But I think Teddy Atlas is right. You know, Michael Moore, that win cemented Foreman in a whole different level to me. Because before that, he was just like a Sonny Liston type. You know, he had a short run. And even Liston probably had more depth. Because Foreman didn't have a lot of depth in the 70s. He beat Frazier, Norton, Lyle, Chavallo. He didn't have so much depth. Yeah, I would go with Foreman being the greater heavyweight than Mike Tyson. Let me know what you guys think. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Peace.